The Conejo Recreation and Park District Board of Directors, regular meeting, January 9th, 2025. Would you please stand and join me for this flag salute? Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for being here. Before we get to the roll call, I just want to mention that we have a full agenda. We have a lot of angst in our community with fires and power outages and so forth. So I'm going to try and keep our meeting going as quickly as possible. I don't want to be rude, but I do ask that you kind of help us move things along. I know a lot of us have probably family and friends that have lost homes. So keep those folks in mind. But in the meantime, if we could just try to keep to the business schedule, I know we'd all appreciate it. We do have a closed session as well, so it'll be a long evening for us. So with that, may we please have the roll call? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. And we have special presentations tonight, the therapeutics unit and inclusion. So Devin, I presume you're going to be the star of the evening, so please join us.
Oh, it's on. I'm really blurry. It's okay. I really don't need to be. All right. Thank you so much for having me this evening. My name is Devin Herbert, Recreation Supervisor of the Therapeutic Recreation Unit and Inclusion Services. Tonight with me is Corinne Rakowski. She's Recreation Coordinator of the Therapeutic Unit, and Tim Dewar, who is the Service Manager that oversees the unit. So this evening, the topic is inclusion. And what is inclusion? So inclusion is the attitude that everyone is welcome, regardless of ability, background, culture, religion, gender, or economic circumstances. And with that being said, CRPD, it promotes inclusive practices and welcomes everyone. With all that being said, inclusion encompasses a lot of people. However, tonight, the focus is really just inclusion in regards to individuals with disabilities. So, how we look at inclusion, or we as in CRPD, how did we get to be where we are today? So early in 2016, there was some discussion about, are we meeting the needs of the therapeutic recreation community? Are we meeting all the regulations needed? So later that year, we entered into a contract with Recreation Accessibility Consultants. And a year later, they provided us with an in-depth report of areas that we are doing great in, but also recommendations. So from there, after receiving that report, what did we do? So over the next couple years after that, we developed it and streamlined the process in how individuals request for accommodations. So right now, when people register for classes, they can check a box or uncheck a box requesting for accommodations, and the registration system will automatically generate an email to the inclusion coordinator with a list of the programs that they're requesting accommodations for. And once that is received, we reach out to the family and also take a look at the programs. So we have an in-depth discussion with the family. What are the needs? What are they requesting? But at the same time, we're looking at the ratio of the program, where the program is being held, the structure. Is it a contractor class or a CRPD-led staff class? A lot of things that we take a look into and discuss to help the individual be successful in recreation programs. What else have we done after receiving that report from the consultants? We developed a lot of new forms. So individuals that have seizures, medications. We have a form to how to have a conversation with these families to what are the needs, because we get a lot of families that say they only see their child at home and play by themselves versus in a community setting and don't quite know how it looks like at school. We also developed some roles. We have an ADA coordinator, and then we also have an inclusion coordinator who's also certified as an inclusive recreation specialist with the National Inclusion Project. What else did we do after is we developed a tracking system. So we were kind of old school on that for a while up until recently. We changed the registration system to track the inclusion services. So this is very, very new. So as time progresses, we'll find out how more accurate, how many inclusion requests that we're actually doing in programs. So right now, the registration system is saying that we did 55 classes from October of 2024 to December of 2024 that we're providing inclusion services. Next, we also became vendored with Tri-County's Regional Center. This is huge. Tri-County's Regional Center is a governing agency that is state funded that oversees most individuals with disabilities, and they now support community involvement, recreation, and are paying and funding recreation programs for individuals with disabilities. So roughly, we've received $125,000 from Tri-Counties just from July of 2024 to December of 2024. So it's a big, it's really important for our families so that they're able to access recreation. We've also developed a complaint process, ongoing assessment of facilities and ADA regulations through our CIP process. We developed a budget for inclusion. Oh, and that's it. So we've done a lot and feel that we are in good place with inclusion, but there's always more room to grow. So what's next? We've been given through the National Inclusion Project standards for inclusive recreation, which is going to be our roadmap for the next couple of years. That they break it up into 5 different areas. And this is what we're going to look into: administration, facilities and resources, staffing, programming, and evaluation. So again, we do a lot of these things, but we're going to take a look and see where we can grow, do better, but also and look at what we do great in. So what are the things that we're going to be looking at? So administration is CRP's mission reflecting a commitment to inclusion. Staff recruitment and hiring. Are we hiring people that align with our inclusion policy? And are we also communicating our inclusion outlook to individuals when we're recruiting? Input and feedback, outreach materials communicate that participants with and without disabilities belong, and even our website. Next, facilities and resources. So implementing ADA regulations. Are there flexible areas, alternative spaces for program staff and participants, accessible programming, outdoor and indoor? And then vendors, the vendors we utilize, are they also accessible, their staff activities? Staffing. So staff creating a welcoming environment to all. So as soon as they walk into the door, does everyone feel like they belong? Are they welcomed? Program staff training to plan and implement accommodations. Program staff foster social responsibility and promote social interactions with and without disabilities. Onboarding training and continuous training, and support staff monitor implementation. And programming. So our program activities plan to be inclusive. Special events, structured and unstructured time, designed to promote positive social interactions, accommodations implemented when needed, are there choices in their activities? And contractors, do they align with all of our inclusion policies and procedures? Lastly is evaluation. So are we taking a look at what we're doing, evaluating it, and then making changes where needed, or, and then also sharing those results? And so again, that's a roadmap, what we're going to be looking at over the next couple of years. And hopefully we master and improve and do all those things and become more of an inclusive community. That's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I'll start on my right. Director Cussworth, did you have any comments or questions?
Well, I don't have any questions, but I wanted to congratulate you on the fact that you are looking at how to improve your program, which is already an excellent program, and that you're using evaluations and you're asking questions. And it seems like that's a very professional thing to do. So
Thank
thank you. And I always enjoy seeing the impact you're having
Thank you.
on the different people that you service in our community. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Director Roscoe, could you make sure that I pronounce your name correctly? Tell me how you pronounce your name.
Well, I pronounce my name with a roll of the R.
Orozco?
Orozco, which I don't expect anybody to.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I
But
got
it's
it.
Perfectly fine. Thank you so
Okay.
much. I appreciate that. Devin, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. Forgive me if I missed it, but I was just curious. When you mentioned class registration and the inclusion requests, is that on all class registration? Is that something that's accessible to all of the class registrations, or specific to only a certain genre of the classes?
So it's inclusion. So it's every class that's in the, when they register in the registration system.
Great, thank
Yeah.
you. And then you made a comment about you developed a complaint process, and I'd love to learn more, maybe not tonight, but just about the feedback, about the feedback process and how that gets implemented, and sort of the breakdown of that. And
Yeah,
how
I hate to
feedback's
toot our
processed.
own horn, but we actually don't get any complaints. It's
Amazing.
online and it's a quick, click of a email.
Yeah.
And it's also in our program guide that people can email us and provide feedback. And actually, we've had that probably since 2017 and have not received any.
That's really wonderful. Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Director Buss.
So I saw that the Tri-Counties refund started on July 1st. Is that when it started, or is that just what you?
No,
you're just
that's
giving those numbers?
Yeah, it's we've actually been vendored with them for a couple years,
Okay,
and the word is still getting out. So, but that just number was just what I pulled a report for.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
because I remembered when I did the site visit that you guys were talking about something has changed in that, and now there was like some private companies coming in because there was more funding being given, right, from them. Was it something like that, or?
No, I mean, so
You remember talking about
it's been a long process to become vendored, partly because the state funding and they're trying to streamline things, and so they actually just recently kind of finally solidified the vendorization. However, the state is continuing still to make changes, so they actually just put us in a whole different category that I have to pick what category and put in a change request and all of that. But then also people are trying to have a little bit more independence in what their funding goes towards. So they're doing now something called self-determination, but it's still overseen by Tri-Counties Regional Center and financial service management. Financial management services are funding it. It's
And we
still
still,
just fundarization with Tri-Counties Regional
right,
Center.
so, and we still qualify for all of their funding and returns is basically,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, as
And
long as we're
then-
community based.
The other thing, when I was there at the site, you were having some issues with staffing. Have you had any luck? Hopefully, I was like, I know you had several positions and that wonderful lady left and went to the school districts, and
Yeah.
so,
We still are very limited staff. This week we actually did some interviews and hope to extend an offer. And so we're still limited staff, but hopefully we're getting there.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right, good. Well, thank you so much for
Yes.
everything you guys do, because you guys do a wonderful job there. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Huffer.
Devin, I just want to thank you for the update. And I know we started this just a few years ago, and what you folks have already accomplished, given your limited staff and all the other things you have going on, I think it's great what you have done and what you have going forward. And I know you've only been collecting the data for a very brief period of time. You said, I think it was 55 individuals who have requested some assistance with the inclusion process. Are there any specific programs or types of programs that have gotten most of these requests, or is it pretty well spread across the board in terms of types of programs?
So swim lessons are a big top. And the funding for Tri-Counties also goes toward individuals that are accessing therapeutic recreation. So they choose not to do inclusion, just segregated programs, although they're still community based. But so it's a mix of inclusion and therapeutic recreation patrons, that vendorization. But for inclusion, the number one would probably be swim lessons, and camps, summer
Okay.
camps.
Okay. And I know I've been involved with AYSO soccer for years and years, and they have a VIP program, actually called Epic program now. And I know there have been instances where a parent will ask their child be included in a regular season team, and with a little conversation are maybe not convinced, but they recognize that maybe it might be more beneficial for their child if they were in the VIP program. Have you had any situations like that based on conversations with the parents, or?
It really is, yes. But in the end, it's what the goal is of the family. So usually it may not be skill, but it could be for socialization. So really in the end, it's what the goal is, where I might think that the goal is different of let's learn how to cook, or let's, build skill, or what. Usually in the end, it has to do with what the goal is of for the individual.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Again, thanks for all the information, Devin.
Thank you for the presentation. It's always good to see you and Corinne, the team that you put together. It's a great option for our community. And I just think about how recreation, sport, activities just lend itself for inclusion. That's just part of what we do. And to have, your focus and attention on that to, guide people, I wouldn't say, push them one way or the other, or one team or another, or sport or another, but to kind of guide them and provide them with the options and pros and cons. We hear so many positive things just about the program in itself. And like I said, there's a reason you don't have too many complaints, because it's working. And I think a lot of people are just appreciative of the fact that it even exists. So thank you for committing to continue to elevate it, and and I know you really love and care for the people that we have here. And it shows. So thank you for continuing to do
Thank
that.
you.
And again, you make the Park District look good. So thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, we'll go to items from the public. Do we have anybody from the public to speak, either present or online? Okay. Well, if you are online and care to speak, raise your hand and we will get to you. Thank you. Next, approval of the agenda. Is everyone taking a look at the agenda and have any changes? If not, a motion to approve.
I'll move approval.
Thank you. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Second, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Consent calendar, we have the approval of the minutes and approval of warrants. Any edits or comments, changes, or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Do we have a second for
I'll
that?
second.
All right, motion a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that moves forward. We have no deferred matters and we have one item for discussion. This is regarding board committee appointments and assignments. Hopefully you folks have all had a chance to review the various options and along with the nice detailed explanation. And I just want to first give the opportunity for Ms. Orozco to say, to explain, or to ask any clarification of the committees, because I know there's a lot of them there. And I can remember when I first came here, it's just like, oh my gosh, what does this even do? So did you have any questions for the general manager or staff on various committees, or do you think you got a little handle on it?
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to ask any questions. I feel like I have a pretty good handle on it. Aline was so kind early on to give me a list of the committees and the description, so I've had some time to review and stew on some things, so thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, and with that, I will just note that our agenda packet, in addition to the review of the different committees, has our current appointments listed and then where the vacancies are listed. And I've had a little bit of feedback on who was interested in that from a couple of our board members, but I haven't heard from anybody else. I haven't heard from everybody else. So I just wanted to have an opportunity to give to people to explain if there's something they're interested in. And I'll start with Director Buss. If there's any changes you wish, if you wanted to add some more assignments to your,
No, I'm
to
good.
your,
So
Well-
unless anyone wants to take any from me, I'll do trades, but otherwise I'm,
Future draft choice.
yeah, exactly. I am
Great.
good with what I have. I'm not looking to take on any more, as fun as it all is and
Okay.
exciting.
Yes, I completely understand. Thank you. Director Cusworth, any additions,
I am-
subtractions, or otherwise?
I am satisfied.
Okay. All right, so with that, based on the input that I have, that I would like to have Ashley Orozco added to the Property Acquisition Committee. And also have Ashley Orozco added to the Ad hoc Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center Committee. And we'll ask Director Huffer to be our representative to the Global Senior Center Commission. And I will be happy to serve as the alternate for the Ventura County Special Districts Association. And just as a point of discussion between Director Buss and Director Huffer, if Director Buss would like to step away from the master plan at the ad hoc Conejo Creek project, Director Huffer said he would be interested, but only if you wanted to take that off of your table. So it's completely up to you. I know you have interest there, but I also know time is precious to you, so I'll leave that up to you.
I mean, definitely interested in it as a horse mom, in that area. So I think, yeah, okay. I'd rather stay on. if you
Okay,
don't
that's
mind.
fine. Just wanted to give you the opportunity.
Yeah,
so-
if you want to take something
Nope,
else.
no
let us
pressure.
know.
All these appointments pay the same, so it doesn't make a bit of difference.
Yeah,
And then had a question, and perhaps the general manager would care to weigh in on this, is to the efficacy of the ad hoc pickleball committee remaining as a committee, or do we, have we addressed that as we need to at this point and let that one slide away for now? Do you have an opinion on that, or perhaps Mr. Mooney? I'm not sure, either one or both.
Well, I think we had our primary three proposed, temporary locations, all of which were, somewhat proximate, or know the exact distance to residences, and there was kind of some difficulty finding locations in each of those. I don't think it's a secret. We shared it with the equestrian community when we were talking about the Conejo Creek West update. So thinking about distance from homes and future pickleball sites, our focus has been on something, maybe that hasn't been considered yet. So I don't know that we really need the committee because I think it'll be a full board decision once we kind of pull things forward, you know? So if you guys want to access ad hoc committee, this might be one of those ones that could go away. You know, we don't have really great alternatives that are anywhere further from residences than the ones we brought you already.
Okay,
Absent a totally new location like
Okay.
Conejo Creek West or some other
okay.
property yet to
So
be
with-
identified.
With that input, I would suggest that we delete that ad hoc committee unless there's either from Director Huffer, who's been on it, or others think that we need to continue that. Any objection to deleting that?
Just so long as the community isn't given the message that we're giving up on pickleball, that it's still on our priority list. The fact that we're maybe not continuing the ad hoc committee does not indicate that it's not a strong interest to our entire board.
No, I think that's a fair point, and I just would also mention that since ad hoc committees are designed to address an issue, and we kind of did that, if we wanted to continue, we could always just make it a general committee where we go through, but I don't think there's enough activity at this point to warrant that. And if we needed to bring it up again, we certainly could.
I would agree.
Okay? Yes, Director Roscoe.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to maybe have a brief discussion about providing an opportunity for individuals in the pickleball community to come forward, maybe on like a quarterly basis, just to share feedback or provide input. And I'm wondering if that's something that would be a different committee or if that would remain with an ad hoc pickleball committee. I just want to make sure that there's a space or an opportunity that we're keying into those specific concerns. So I don't know, deferring to you guys, you are obviously well versed in that specific ad hoc community, but wanting to make sure that we're providing a platform for them as well.
No, it's a good point. And I know we did have a number of good conversations when this was a hotter topic. But I also know that we do have special presentations where we have our partner programs that come in, and we can certainly invite them. I don't know that we have an official partnership with them, but we can certainly, reach out to them and offer that to them because it's certainly, or just speak from as a public meeting, but that's certainly something we can do. I'm sure our general manager would be happy to read because we have all their contact information. We have, actually we have a whole email list, if I remember right, that we can provide that if something were to come up or just to extend an invitation. That's certainly an option for us.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so with that then, I'd like to go ahead and suggest that we delete that ad hoc committee at this point. And if I remember right, I think Director Huffer, you, regarding the ad hoc large community events policies and procedures, were you wanting to stay with that or were you kind of didn't really care? I wasn't quite sure. I just had a question mark. I wasn't sure what your position was on that one.
I'm happy to remain on that committee.
Okay.
It is of interest to me.
Okay,
But I think in the comments that I made was there was someone else who had a burning desire to
okay,
join that committee. I would reluctantly give up my space.
okay. Understood. All right.
Can I make one comment?
Yes,
Nellie, I did want to see, because I know 2 years ago you were really interested, but you were not retired yet for the Conejo Coalition for Youth and Families. And the only reason I took it was because you weren't retired yet. So did you want,
I
Yep.
actually think being that you have a still present children in your home, that is a good place for you to be if you would like to stay there. If you're ready to give that up, I could take that job.
no, I mean, I enjoy it thoroughly, but I just knew that you were interested in it before.
Yeah, I was, but I think that what I have now is definitely adequate.
Okay.
So continue on in your good work.
Okay. Yes, I'm
Marissa-
sure they love my commentary about my children, middle schooler and elementary school experiences.
If you are interested in, maybe if that's not something that you would like to continue, I'd be open to the discussion of maybe taking that space for you, Marissa, if that's something. But if you are committed to the Conejo Coalition for Youth and Families, wonderful. But if you are looking to,
I like it, but I was just because she had wanted to do it before, but she wasn't
Yeah.
retired yet. But I mean, it's an interesting one if you're interested in it.
If I could add to this discussion.
Yeah.
Director Orozco also expressed interest in the Finance and Audit Committee, which you are on. So I
Oh.
did wanted to know if you wanted to keep that one.
Which one do you want, Ashley?
So,
Which one?
so, there's some leverage here. I just want to make sure it's all on the table.
I mean. I'm like, either whichever one you like.
oh goodness,
The Conejo one you meet more often. That is a regular meeting and you
Sure.
meet with like someone. Well, you've been to one of the meetings.
I have.
Yeah, so you know,
Yeah.
so that's a more regular one. The finance one is,
Twice, 3 times a year.
yeah, it's not, and then you have the whole summit too for the other one.
Sure. I will defer to your preference because I feel like that's what
We have a very cordial group here.
Yeah, either way, I think why don't you take the finance one and
Okay.
then I'll stay on this one for another couple years. They'll have to deal with me.
Sold. Okay.
All right. Good.
That's good.
Okay, now, in looking at my notes, I think I've captured what I remember as far as comments that I had heard. So now I just want to open it up to anybody else who either wants to add something else to the discussion, to add, subtract, or otherwise that I haven't heard or seen already. Because I say right now, I've got Director Orozco on 3 committees. But there are some of us that are on more. And I suppose if we, take a look at this, what I was going to suggest is maybe with what we've discussed here tonight, if we could get a new version of this to look at next meeting. And then if we need to polish up a little bit, would that be acceptable?
Perfect.
Okay, why don't we do that with the changes that we've got here, because I've got arrows and names scratched all over the place. And then if we need to make some additional changes or
Yeah.
we look at
No,
that, we
that's
can do
good.
that. Okay?
You
So
guys
is
did that really
that
well.
good for a start?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for your cooperation. Okay, so that moves us on to new items. And with the new items, I have requested our more than capable board clerk to institute a new process in which the actual title of the action item will be introduced by our clerk, and then we'll take it from there. So if you'd please introduce our first item. Okay, thank you very much. And I see Director Mooney is named at the bottom of this, so I presume you'll be giving our presentation.
Yes. Thank you, Chair Nichols, members of the board. So we're back again, planning for Conejo Valley Days 2025. This report, as well as the agreement, is very similar, other than the dates, as well as the, excuse me, as well as the cost of the permit itself, and all the conditions of the agreement. We do have some CEQA to handle. Staff does think this qualifies for a categorical exemption. There's been historical events on the overall Conejo Creek complex, but specifically Conejo Creek South, where this event will be held. So staff is asking the board to determine that it is categorically exempt. And then also just there's additional information on that as far as attendance included in Exhibit 1 over the years of large scale community-wide events at Conejo Creek Complex. Specifically the agreement, which is Exhibit 2. It is an exclusive use of Conejo Creek South Park. It would be going for 16 days total, which would start Monday, June 16th until July 1st, Tuesday, July 1st. The entire event won't be running for 16 days. It would be running for the 11 days. So the total payment for the permit would be $15,950. Again, this is the same cost from last year's agreement. And then also we do have conditions in the agreement that if there's any additional time that's needed on the property, that they would be paying the annual or the daily rate for that, which is at $8.25 per day. We do have an additional condition, just same as last year, for a pre and post event financial reporting for the participating nonprofits, since this is a community event that does benefit the community. It's more just kind of a clarification of what is the event doing and what is it supporting, which it's obviously a very long run event. Community enjoys it. So we plan to continue to recommend the event as proposed tonight with the conditions of the Exhibit 2 of the agreement. We do, one change we do have is Frank Acree is no longer the president of Conejo Valley Days. His daughter, Sarah Acree, who joins us tonight, is. And so I'm available, but Sarah would like to give you a brief explanation of this year's event. So Sarah, if you want to come to the podium and turn the mic on. And then both of us can be available for questions after. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're already on here. Hello, my name is Sarah Acree. I'm honored to be filling into Frank's position. I'm really excited to continue this tradition. I've been a part of Conejo Valley Days pretty much since I was born. So we all know it's a great community event in our area, and I can't imagine the Conejo Valley without it. So thank you for allowing me to continue this tradition. And yeah, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask.
Thank you.
I'll
Thank you
answer.
for being here this evening.
Thank
So
you.
any questions or comments from the board? Yes, Director Cuthbert.
So I don't know if it would be Mr. Mooney or Sarah that could be answering this. Sarah, correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. For the attendance, we just have from 2015. Do we have any updated attendance? Like from the last few years? You've been there for what, 3 or 4 years now?
Correct. Yes. So this year will be my first year officially being president
Uh-huh.
and handling everything myself. So I don't have exact documents on me, but I do know we have generally, definitely, we get more than like 10,000 people
Okay,
at our event. We do let a lot of people in for free and support families letting their children in for free as example. And we have not raised our prices in the past maybe 10 years. So we try to keep it an affordable event for our community and just so that everybody has something to cut together and celebrate.
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
And to add to that, Director Cussworth, the attendance for from Exhibit 1 is basically just demonstrating that in the past we
Yeah.
have done large scale events. So even if for whatever reason attendance would dip down for any of these events, it's really just showing historically that we have been doing large scale events. So then that way it would meet the CEQA exemption. So-
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, Director. Cox.
So I went last year. It was probably my first time in a long time. And I brought all the middle schoolers and I was the parent who brought all of them, and the other parents really were appreciative of that. And they had a blast. I have to say, it was really nice to be able to take them to do something than giving them money to go to the mall, which is what they normally do unless they are in their recreation, sports, what have you.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was, my husband and I were walking around and we were saying, this is probably actually the safest place you could be in Thousand Oaks at the moment because
Mhm.
there were so many sheriffs there.
Yes. We take
Literally,
safety
like,
seriously.
The ratio of person to sheriff was insane. So I was like, oh, I didn't even really need to be here with the kids. But yeah, I thought it was great. They had a nice time. So I'm looking forward to bringing them back this year. And it's hard at that age for them to find stuff to do. So
Mhm.
I do appreciate you putting it on and taking it over and keeping our traditions alive, as my brother and I run the chili cook-off. So yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Yes, Director Huffer.
Thank you, Chair Nichols. Just a couple of questions, Sarah, or perhaps Andrew might be able to answer these.
I know Frank, in past years has provided a list of all the various local charities that have benefited from this event. Without listing all of those, do you have at least say the top 3 or 5 charities that have benefited from this and just ballpark figures as to what their benefits might have been?
I don't have the exact numbers on me. I do know we have had, we had the medical explorers with us. We have the police explorers as well. They are all a part of our event. And we have many local charities. We also give booths free to our local charities so that they can bring in any opportunity for themselves to raise money, to spread awareness, whatever they may need. So we keep our doors open, and if you guys know any who would like to come celebrate at Conejo Valley Days this year, we're looking to help as many as we can.
Okay, thank you. And do you have just a ballpark estimate or ballpark figures to, out of the total revenues that Conejo Valley Days brings in or brought in last year, what percentage of that revenue went to local charities?
Pretty much all of the revenue goes to local charities. Whatever we need to keep our doors open, is what wouldn't go to local charities, but pretty much everything does. It's a pretty clean wash.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And then for Andrew, I just wanted to make sure that I think it's on page 4 of the agreement or page 63 in our packet. There are several requirements for things that need to be accomplished before or after the event, and that they have met the 60-day requirement for information on the nonprofits, and also 60 days a profit and loss statement.
Correct, yeah. So we, myself and Jody administer, if you look on page 70, Exhibit C of the agreement, 70 in your packet, is all the breakdowns of the milestone dates that they need to be able to provide for the event. And so we've already sat down with kind of changing the guard from Frank to Sarah, even though it's in the family. Sat down, myself and Matt Kubo, Park Superintendent, and kind of walk through the agreement, answered any questions, concerns, but specifically walk through deadlines and timelines to meet. So Sarah understands that, and then we're looking to continue positive relationship, meeting those requirements so then they can put on a successful event.
Okay, and then I could have dug up last year's agreement, but I figured it'd be easier to ask you.
Sure.
Item 11 there, the parties may extend this agreement for an additional usage period in 2026. Did we have that in our prior years?
Yeah, we've had that basically the past 10 years or so. I would have to go way back, but when I took over, I read through the past 3 or 4 years to make sure that we had consistency through the documents. But that's something that we've always done. That's for all of these large events. So then that way, if there's interest, they're communicating with us early on, and typically it's kind of in the fall. From a timing standpoint of coordinating with these folks, as well as some others that we were talking about, it pushed to January again, but typically we try to take this like in November to the board. And so we're looking to get back on track for next year for these events like that. So, and it's common on all of our large event agreements. We have that condition in there. So then that way it gives us staff enough time to prepare, making sure, coordinate with Rochelle's folks, but then also be able to put it in front of the board, since this is a board action type item, way ahead of time. So.
Okay, but this does not eliminate the possibility that next year this would not be brought before the board. This will come before the board each year.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That will continue. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Chuck.
Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Conejo Valley Days 2025 annual agreement and permits condition for Conejo Creek Park.
And would you also like to determine that it's categorically exempt?
Yes, I would.
And that we should authorize the general manager to execute the agreement?
Yes.
I'll second that amended motion. so.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Should've kept
Any
the
other
first page.
comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. And we'll look forward to another successful CVD. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for coming, Sarah.
Thank you
And-
for having
and-
me.
And tell hello to your father for us.
I will.
Yeah, he's on the gig. Yeah, he's better. Okay, would the clerk introduce our next business item, please?
Item 9B, Thousand Oaks Rotary Club Chili Cook-Off and Craft Brew Festival, 2025 Annual Agreement and Permit Conditions, Conejo Creek Park.
Thank you very much. And Director Mooney, is this going to be yours again?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Nichols, members of the board. So very similar to the item prior. Staff is recommending to determine the categorical exemption through CEQA due to the historical use of the property for large community events, as previously explained. Chili Cook-Off is just like CVD, very good community event. There is community benefit through generating, last year was, and correct me, Nelson, if I'm wrong, $118,000 for various charities. Thank you for the thumbs up. And so the event this year is planned to be on Sunday, May 4th. The permit, however, is for the day, one day prior, non-exclusive though, for some setup towards the end of the day on a Saturday before May 4th. And then for one day for Conejo Creek North totally for the event. And then also parking for the day of the event at Conejo Creek South. So it's just for that one Sunday. There's exclusive rights for those two properties. Again, substantially similar to prior year agreements. Really only the dates, same cost for the permit. And with that, I'm available for questions after Mr. Nelson Bust does a great presentation for you.
The microphone's already on. My name's Nelson Buss. I represent Thousand Oaks Rotary Club. As Marissa Buss previously stated, we run this event together. The sum total of my efforts are this evening, basically. She does the rest. This event's been going on for, I believe, depending on how you adjust for COVID, 53 years at this point. The event last year raised 118,000. I also like to credit the fact that we have a number of charity organizations, including the Boy Scouts of America and CLU Athletics, who aid us in running this event. And we donate another $10,000 that we don't actually count towards our gross revenue for this to those volunteer organizations and charity organizations to assist us in running it. It's a big event. A lot of our Rotary Club's pretty old. We're definitely all AARP members at this point, except for like 3 of us. So we use all the help we can get. And so it is an all hands on deck event, not only for our club, but for a large portion of the community as well. All of the money that we raise as Rotarians goes back into the community. None of us take salaries. None of us get a dime for doing any of this. All of this money that we raise, we give back. And the organizations, among the organizations that we support are Westminster Free Clinic, Adelante Comunidad, Safe Passages, and the list goes on far beyond what I can remember at my advanced age. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buss, for that presentation. Teed up well. Thank you, Mr. Mooney. Okay, with that, questions, comments? Yes, Director Huffer?
Not a question, but a comment, and I've made this same comment every year. And since you're standing there, Director Buss is not, I'm going to direct it to you. I think it's just terrible. You ripped off the idea of adding Craft Brew Festival to your event from some other well-deserving charitable organization here in the community. But other than that, I think this is a great event. So,
Well, I did neglect to mention that my other contribution to the Chili Cook-Off is to create a fabulous beer garden that is modeled entirely on the Kiwanians.
thank you.
Credit where credit is due. Thank you. All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion then.
I'll make a motion. So I recommend that we determine that the Thousand Oaks Rotary Club Chili Cook-Off and Craft Brew Festival for 2025 is categorically exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act and authorize the general manager to execute the chili cook-off agreement for 2025.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Very good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. That passes. We'll look forward to a successful Brewfest with associated chili cook-off.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, if the clerk would introduce our next business item, please.
9C, policy for capitalization and depreciation of capital assets and disposal of equipment assets, excess personal property, and scrap materials.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I see Melissa Smith's name on here, but she is not here. So General
He is
Manager.
here. He's with us.
Oh, is she?
I am
Is
here
she-
via
She is here.
Zoom.
Uh-oh. Is she behind the curtain here? We need to,
We have to.
Are
figure
you
out-
are you able to see and hear me?
we can hear you, yes.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't need to see me. Especially I've been up helping friends and family evacuate from La Cañada. So I'm sorry I can't be there, but that's what I'm up to. So tonight we're making a few updates to the district's capitalization policy. The changes we are proposing are shown in the red line strikeout version in your packet. The first change is to the capitalization threshold. In other words, the definition of what the district considers to be an asset to be recognized on our financial reports. So those changes are basically an increase from $5,000 to $10,000. This is in line with the updated guidance from the California Society of Municipal Finance Officers, CSMFO, and the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA. Just to give you an idea, by implementing this change, the district can reduce the number of assets that we are tracking every year by about 200, which is about 40% of our assets. Even by doing that, we are only reducing the valuation of our assets by 1.1 million. So in other words, we're eliminating about 40% of the work, but only reducing the value by about 1%. So we're really excited about it. I know Loretta is going to be happy to not have to track all the teeny tiny pieces of equipment that are between $5,000 and $10,000. So that's the first change. And then the second change is related to recent implementation of new standards from the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, also known as GASB. There were 2 GASB guidance statements that we recently implemented, basically showing that leases and subscription-based IT services need to be recognized on our financial statements. And kind of similar to the capitalization of assets, we needed to pick a threshold value to trigger when those types of leases should be included in the financial statements. We worked with our auditors. They said the maximum we could do was 350,000. And so we picked 250,000 to make sure we were safe and under that maximum threshold that they gave us. So we are adding that information to this document just to document that this was a new practice we did. So those are the 2 changes that we're making. And I also wanted to just flag for you that there's a lot of changes in best practices for this kind of thing. And there's also going to be changes to the purchasing and procurement rules best practices. And so I think Andrew's going to be coming to you guys in a few months with changes to our purchasing policy to match those best practice standards. So with that, I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much. Good to see you and hope your challenge is well taken care of with all your efforts. So with that, just questions, comments from the board? Yes, Director Buss?
Do we have any leases that have a $250,000 present future value?
Yes, I think it's we've got 8 of them. They're the cell tower leases because they're so long.
Oh, I was wondering if it was gonna be them. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I was like, that's the only thing I could think of. Okay.
Yeah.
Director Huffer?
Yeah, Melissa, it may have been your presentation, but I'm just curious as to how you're treating those assets that were between 5,000 and 10,000, but you've already started to depreciate. Are you going to expense those items in the current year or continue to depreciate those?
We would probably continue to depreciate them. There'll probably be a threshold. We'll work with our auditors to when we can kind of expense them out, but we won't do it in a way that'll throw off our report because we want that for consistency.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? I have a couple questions for you. There, actually, it's related to the two items. With the two new definitions included for the subscription-based information technology and lease, I can understand that subscription-based information technology arrangements is kind of a new topic. You know, we didn't have this concept not too long ago, but leases have been around for a very long time. So I'm just wondering, why is lease now bubbling up where we have to include that, where I can understand the subscription part of it? Do you know why that would be?
So the definition for lease that's in there, I'm adding because it is specifically in the GASB 87 that we're required to implement for leases. So that is the verbatim language for that GASB statement. And the same with the subscription-based IT technology arrangements definition. So those are defined by the Government Accounting Standards Board for us to use.
Okay, and lease was never in this before, obviously, because it's an addition. Is that correct?
Correct.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure that I understood that, but thank you.
Yeah, it's weird. I get it.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion. Yes, Director Hupper.
I'd like to move approval of staff recommendation to adopt the district's amended policy for capitalization and depreciation of assets, excess personal property and scrap materials.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Take care of that one. All right. Will the clerk please introduce our next business item?
New item 9D, Board of Directors norms, guidelines, and processes.
Yes, thank you, Chair Nichols, members of the board. This is an item that we bring to you every year around this time, usually the last meeting in December, first meeting in January. And it's a good touchstone for the board to just kind of review and remember what our basically culture documents are. These norms, guidelines, and processes were developed in with the help of a consultant, organizational consultant who some of you might know, Brent Ives. He's at a lot of the conferences and stuff, but he helped us come up with these, and they are meant to reflect like, how do we interact with each other? How does the board work with each other? How does the board work with the general manager, staff? And just kind of capture the culture and operations of this body as we kind of, you know, go through year to year. So it's just a reminder of who we are and how we want to work with each other. I don't really have any kind of prepared go over any specific items. Nothing's changed from the last time we had it in front of you, other than I think a minor change or two per the last time that you looked at it a year ago. But otherwise, it's the same thing you saw 1 year ago.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Friedel. And I guess the clarification is kind of is what Mr. Friedel was saying. This isn't policy. This isn't an ordinance. It's not legislation. It's not anything that we're bound to. It's norms are just the general way we conduct business. And it's just to kind of give us a little outline and a framework for how we conduct business. So again, Director Orozco, I just want to offer you the opportunity. This is the first time you're seeing these. And just, if you had any questions or comments on anything.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. I am all set. This was very thorough. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Well, there's a recommendation here. So do I have a motion for staff recommendation? Yes, Director Orozco.
I'd like to submit a motion to modify as necessary and approve the Board of Directors norms, guidelines, and processes.
Thank you. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
All right. Thank you, Director Buss. All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. All right. Will the clerk please read our next business item?
That would be item 9E, adopt resolution 010925-A, determining need for more than 5 meetings per month.
All right, thank you. And I'm going to ask our general manager to update us on this one, please.
Yes, and thank you, Chair Nichols, member of the board. This resolution is something very much like the prior agenda item where we have brought this in front of the board every year around this time. It's kind of a way for us to organize our business. It helps us define what a meeting is and what is compensable. The Public Resources Code limits our compensation to $100 per meeting. You can't have more than one meeting in a day. And generally more than 5 meetings in a month. However, a new code section was added a couple years ago, 6 years ago, feels like a couple of years ago, 6 years ago, that said that should the, district be busy enough, large enough, business is pressing enough, you can have 6 meetings if you determine by resolution that you need more than 5 meetings in a month. So again, our organization is extremely broad. We have, if we were a private business, we would have so many different lines of work. We do therapeutics and we do aquatics and we do youth and seniors and teens and we manage parks and we have rangers. So there's ample reasons for this board to do all sorts of different things all over the community all month long. And our definition of meeting is quite broad. So there's lots of reasons for you guys to be out and about, looking at what we're doing, talking to the folks that use our facilities and, auditing our programs, all sorts of stuff. So with that, I definitely believe that we have cause to have more than 5 meetings, i.e. 6 in a month. With that, do you have a resolution in front of you?
Thank you, Mr. Friedel. Any comments or questions? If not, I'll accept the motion.
I'll make a motion for that. So I recommend that we adopt resolution 010925-A, adopting findings and determining a need for more than 5 meetings per month, that it be read in title only and all future readings be waived.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right. Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution title only, please?
Resolution 010925-A, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Conejo Recreation and Park District adopting findings and determining need for more than 5 meetings per month.
Thank you very much. With that having been read, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries. Thank you very much. And with Madam Clerk, would you please read our final business item?
That would be item 9F, revision of personnel policy manual.
Thank you very much. Now, is Ms. Smith still with us on this item?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you. All right, welcome back.
Thank you again. So for the final item, we have our updated personnel policy. We also have Shelley Howell, our HR manager, and Adriana Guzman from Lieber Cassidy and Whitmore on Zoom if you have any questions. Included in your packet is a red line version of the personnel policy manual, but we're basically just updating it for a few things. One, the changes from our MOU with SEIU required legal changes, like there were changes in bereavement leave and family time off, and then some other minor changes such as titles that were changed as a result of the classification and compensation study. This red line version was provided to the union representatives and the stewards along with notice of it being on the agenda tonight. And we've not received anything from them requesting any changes, but I did want to say that's the reason for the December 2024 date, is that's when we sent it to them. When we have it approved tonight, we will change that to reflect that it was approved at this meeting. And with that, I'm available for questions, and so is Shelley and Adriana.
Well, thank you all for being with us this evening. Any members from the board, any directors, questions or comments? None? Then I would like to just add one comment request. And this is regarding paid holidays, section 32 on page 191 of our packet. Under section 32A, it lists the 10, says the following days shall be recognized as paid holidays, and it lists the 10 holidays. And then it has a single sentence referring to the 3 floating holidays. And then as you continue on to section 32.2 on page 77, it covers all the floating holidays. So my recommendation would be to just to delete that sentence because it seems to be redundant. But in addition to that, I know there are a lot of people, I presume some of our employees, that may choose to use a floating holiday for their own personal reasons, their own holiday reasons, or perhaps other religious holiday reasons, Rosh Hashanah, Hanukkah being a couple of examples. And so to, just leave it, I think, to omit that and just leave it as floating holidays. The intent is there are 3 floating holidays to be used as you wish. And it just seems to that added sentence there under the previous section seems to kind of be unnecessary. So that would be my recommendation.
So I think the reason that that is there is probably as a result of the negotiation process where maybe they requested Juneteenth and then we gave a floating holiday, or they requested certain days and we gave a floating holiday in recognition. So I think that's why it's there. I'm not opposed to removing it and doing that. The only concern with doing it right now would be we would need to go back to the union with that change. So maybe would you be comfortable if we put that on our list to handle with negotiations coming up, fixing that line?
If that would be more convenient, yes,
Okay.
because I don't think there's, unless there's other reasons to hold things up, I don't think that would be necessary.
Understood.
But yeah, appreciate your efforts in the future for that. Okay, no other comments or questions? Then I'll entertain a motion for that, please.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the updated personnel policy manual. As
Thank
presented.
you. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
All right, thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk, for your help through that process. Next, we have our reports and announcements. We have a little packet item there with several items. Are there any questions for staff on any of the items under reports and announcements or comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to section 11, department reports, Parks Division report. Director Mooney.
I'll be, thanks, Chair Nichols, sorry. I hate
The
the
new
first,
guy,
it's
the new
always the
guy.
first meeting. It's always the first meeting. I did it last year, did it this year. I'm about to say Director Nichols, Chair Nichols.
That works.
No, obviously with the wind event, obviously, fires in the region. But I've been in contact with our field staff. I know Jim's been sharing with the board throughout the past few days. We've been very fortunate throughout the park system, other than power outages like the rest of the community being experienced. However, we do have a couple larger fallen branches. But surprisingly, the parks are holding up pretty good with the amount of heavy winds and dry weather that we've had. So I'm available for any questions if the board has any.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, if not, thank you very much. Recreation Division report. Director Pat Callis.
Thank you, Chair Nichols and members of the board. Thanks for doing that before me, Andrew. Like Andrew said, lots going on out there. We had a great registration on Monday, really good numbers and stuff. And then we lost electricity on Tuesday. So I just want to say a huge thank you to my whole team out there. Even with no electricity, all but 2 sites were able to stay open till at least 5 o'clock at night. So, and I know you guys have been getting those reports. The pool will probably take a good day to 2 days to get back up and running. The temperature has dropped very low, and in order, once they get electricity back, which they do not have yet, it will take approximately 2 hours for each percent for it to go up, and we're at
Yep.
68.
That's
So
about right.
it's going to take a while and to get the chemicals all in good order and everything. So that one, unfortunately, our community loves our pool, and it might be a little longer. Good news is Teen Center and Global Center currently have electricity, so hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit more backing up and running. On a different note, we are currently at the Teen Center working with the County of Ventura, the Red Cross and the city as a possible shelter. It has not been opened as a shelter. And I'm actually hearing that the fire is doing a little bit better now, so it might be in a better state. We might not need it. So, but we have been working with them today. I think that it is it. I'm available for questions.
Any questions? I do have one question. Is the pool heated by gas or electricity?
Pool heaters are electric.
They can be either one.
I think they're big, huge heaters. I want to say they're gas.
It's got.
It's gas. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure. 'Cause-
They're rectangular and about as big as me, like this.
Yeah, I
And
was
we have
gonna say-
two of them.
Yeah, you just need,
Overheated?
yeah, I think you just need electricity for the pump. It's the,
Yeah.
they're heated with gas. Okay.
More efficient.
Yeah, I was gonna say, gas is definitely much more efficient. All right, thank you very much. Okay,
Another-
Management Services Division report. Ms. Smith, do you have anything for us?
I do. So the first thing is we have our draft financial statements are complete. So those Finance and Audit Committee members, you're going to be meeting with me soon to go over that. And then the other thing I had is I actually have an update from MRCA about they're getting a lot of questions with everything from the fire. So I was just going to provide you that report in case you're curious about all the MRCA properties being affected. So they're saying all MRCA parks and open spaces in the evacuation areas are closed until further notice. But in addition, they've also closed all of the Mulholland overlooks. All staff are safe. All staff residents have been evacuated where required. Our executive officer, Joe Edmiston, lost his home in the Palisades fire. The fire division continues to monitor the fires and communicate with the Unified Command Post. And in addition to the regular staff, we are relying heavily on paid on-call firefighters. For Temescal Gateway Park, the fire reached Temescal midday on Tuesday from the north through Topanga State Park. Rangers and fire staff fought fire through the night and were able to defend the major buildings, including Stewart Hall, the dining hall and office, classrooms, and staff residences. They were aided by the structure hardening and vegetation removal that were done as part of their fire resiliency grants. They did, however, lose several cabins and several vehicles. All staff were evacuated and are safe, and they started their damage assessment for insurance and FEMA this morning. King Gillette Ranch, it has been evacuated by order of the sheriff, and a crew is going to be assigned there if a fire gets close to structures. Red Rock Canyon, one resident has evacuated. The other resident, who is a fire staff, remains there prepping the building, and she'll evacuate if needed. Same for Mill Creek Ranch. Staff is there preparing to evacuate, but they have not been directed to do so yet. And then this afternoon's Kenneth Fire blew through Upper Las Virgenes Open Space Preserve. All of the buildings remain intact, and the park is in the mandatory evacuation zone. All told, the fire has touched over 35 of MRCA's named properties, so there's going to be a ton of work with FEMA in our future. On a kind of optimistic note, we've actually had a few former employees reach out to us and say they'd happily come back just to help us process those FEMA applications. So that was kind of nice that they were reaching out. But that's the update from MRCA with all these fires going on, and I am available for questions.
Thank you very much for the update, especially questions of Ms. Smith. Director Smith, I was just going to mention, when you have people volunteering to help with FEMA, that's huge, because I mean, that process, the institutional knowledge that you generate from going through that is rare, because you don't get to do it very often. So
Yeah.
to have people willing to come back to do it, that is huge. So
We were delighted. I think
Yes.
Rory jumped up and down.
yes, that is huge, because that is a big lift, and to have that type of assistance and just the commitment is terrific. So we'll need to be sure and recognize those people at some point, but thank you very much. Okay, next is our general manager's report.
Just checking my phone. Notre Dame is in quite a game right now. Oh, oh, sorry. No. So, we do have a need for closed session tonight, and our attorney is here in the room with us. It maybe a lot was said about the fires, but I do want to thank and commend our staff for kind of getting out, looking at everything, making sure we're doing okay. We have offered assistance to our Assemblywoman Jackie Irwin and her staff. I think as a result of that, we're getting more and more horses over at Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center. We were actually over there for a different matter earlier. They only had 3 horses. And when I called Brian about 4 o'clock today, they had more like 25 horses or something. So people are finding Rancho Potrero for horse evac. Just point of interest, the downtown campus master plan meetings that the city will be hosting are Wednesdays, I think, for the next 6 weeks, if I have that right. And so if you have an interest in that downtown master plan project, that is something you're able to go as a resident of our community. The Ventura County Special Districts Association will have their annual meeting on February 4th. George had been our longstanding, primary member there. If Doug is willing to be the alternate, I think that pushes Nellie up into the regular member. And Nellie has expressed a willingness, if called to serve, she would be willing to serve as president. And they've been going through a little tough time with leadership there. So we may end up with Nellie involved in a leadership position there, but that's TBD. And then I did copy you on the Conejo Community Park appeal letter, a resolution to the appeal letter. We still have not heard back from the residents. We're hoping we do hear back from them. If we do or we don't, either way, there's still probably one more public meeting, whether it's at our board or the city council before that's resolved. And again, closed sessions, I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And with that, I'll go to director's reports and follow-up reports. I'll start to my left this time with Director Huffer.
Thank you, Chair Nichols. I gave you the list of everything that I went through. So I know I was at the Silver Starlight Ball. There were several of us there, and always one of my favorite events every year. It was really nice. Did have a Ventura County Special District Association meeting last month that I attended. And I know there are 1 or 2 other things, but I did do an in-depth study of the park facilities in Kailua, Hawaii, and we'll submit a report at a later date. So thank you.
Wow,
Thank
that
you.
must have been rough.
Yes, Director Buss.
I did not go to Hawaii, bragger. So I went to, what do we do? I just gave you a list of them. I walked by the employee party, the state of the city, the Conejo Youth and Family Coalition meeting we had on the 3rd. We are moving our summit to August. I think I've already told you all about that. And then we also, I did visit the teen center and went over all of that, and we're taking a look at it, and it seems like they've really rebuilt their attendance pretty well. I think the only thing they mentioned if we could get the school district, I don't know if they're watching, I'm sure they are, but she was saying that the introduction for the kids when they did the teams against each other, the schools against each other, and like had like a big whatever kind of obstacle, what was it called?
Spirit Night.
Spirit Night.
Oh, okay.
But they, for some reason, the school district won't do it. So I think we should all bug our board buddies to bring back Spirit Night, because I think it sounded really fun for the kids. But yeah, so that was interesting to hear about. And then I was at the State of the City with I think everybody was there.
Yes.
So, and I was at the meeting for the appeal for the Conejo Community Center.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Orozco.
Great. It was a really wonderful month to just sort of dive into all the different meetings. I was able to attend CRPD's staff holiday party, which was really wonderful, as well as the COSF holiday party, the state of the city with everybody. Let's see, the Thousand Oaks City reorganization meeting. I was able to attend that. And then 2 particular events that I was really fond of were the Silver Starlight Ball, which I think Devin did a really wonderful job, as well as all the rest of staff. And then Safe Passage and CRPD's gift distribution for the holiday season was wonderful to attend. It was very heartwarming and yeah, it was great. So thank you so much for letting me distribute gifts. It was a treat.
Mhm. Director Cutsworth.
So I was at many of the events that you mentioned. A couple that I went to is the Stagecoach Inn had a very lovely holiday event and with live reindeer. And they also the Shumash Center had a holiday event, so I went to both of those. And the McCray Ranch, this wasn't really an official board thing, but they did have a party for their volunteers that I attended. And then also it was kind of fun because some of us that are affiliated with McCray Ranch, we went to Hertz Castle
Mm.
and saw a picture of Joel McCray and Francis D dressed up at
Oh, nice.
when they visited Hertz Castle.
Oh
They
my
were
gosh.
they were attendees there. I guess they knew him and got invited. So
Oh, nice.
we took our pictures in front of the picture of Joel McCray and Francis D dressed up. So I've been many times, but this was kind of, we went on an evening tour, so it was kind
Mm,
of cool to see it
nice.
all lit up for the holidays.
I
So,
bet that would be neat.
and then because Director Huffer was in Hawaii, I had to take his place. I didn't have to take his place, but I went to the polar bear plunge.
Oh,
And so
Sorry about that.
that's usually what he does, but it was very fun. Of course, when I went, it was, I don't know, about what, 78 degrees outside. And the pool wasn't that cold. I was terrified, but I got in the pool and I thought, I think I could swim around in here for a while. This isn't too bad. But it was a very, very, well organized event. I have to really hand it to the aquatics team. They had the whole little path that we went on. They had, it marked with little polar bear paws, and they had some blow ups and medals. And I think next year I'm going to go and bring my grandkids. I think that
Mm.
they'll have a lot of fun in that. It was just an excellent. And also, I think that we were all pretty much at George's event, and I'd like to just really, thank the staff for all the work that they went to. Probably a lot of that was Aline. And that was just a lovely event to honor, Director Lang. So I was very happy that that effort was put out for him. So
Mhm.
I guess that's it.
Thank you. I too attended all those traditional December activities. And in addition to that, met at Conejo Community Park with City Council Member Engler to review some of the issues that we're facing with at that park with our neighbors. And then along with Director Buss, met with our neighbors and staff there at the Conejo Community Park to discuss their concerns. And then I also attended a California Association of Rec and Park Districts Board of Directors special meeting. We were trying to appoint some additional folks to help with our legislative committee, so we were able to get that completed. And this morning we had another legislative committee meeting, and we have our new representative. It's the same firm, just the former representative has moved on, and so now we have a new rep helping us out. So we're setting up, confirming our platform, which will remain the same, and then just kind of giving him some tips on perhaps some directions to go. So that was a good meeting this morning. And as I was looking at my list here, thinking that we just approved our 6 meetings per month, and I was just wishing that that was all that we had, was 6 meetings per month to attend. But December is typically a busy month, so that happens. Okay, so with that, item 12, request for status reports and items for subsequent agendas. So it's anything from the directors? Yes, Director Orozco.
Thank you, Chair. I will be quick. I have 2 items that I'd like to briefly discuss. So I had a conversation with individuals that were serving on the Mountain Recreation and Conservancy Authority, as well as the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy Advisory Committee. Specifically with Director Brian Denner over at the Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District. He expressed concern that over some issues, and their Recreation and Park District is presenting a letter to the California Department of Transportation regarding the Pacific Coast Highways Master Plan feasibility study. Their concern is that their master plan removes public parking and limits points of public access to MRCA and Santa Monica Mountain Conservancy coastal parks, beaches, and access ways. And I'd just love for staff to explore maybe writing a similar letter of support to ensure that we're providing and ensuring that folks can have direct access to our public beaches, and to highlight that as something and to keep in mind for their feasibility study and their master plan. So that's one. And then the second was I met with CVUSD Chair Lisa Powell to discuss a possible joint partnership in exploring pickleball courts at our elementary schools during non-school hours. I think that it would be something that would be interesting to explore and see if there's something there.
Thank you for that update. On your last comment, if you want a real advocate for pickleball and school board, talk to Bill Gorbach. He's a weekly pickleball player and would love to have that as well. So there's two on that team if you want to get them. But yeah, I've talked to him with that as well. So if we can keep battering them, we'll maybe get some results. So thank you for that. We'll certainly pursue that as best possible. And as far as the MRCA, is that something that we could ask George to maybe update us on? I don't know, would he be familiar with that?
Well, yeah, George is our rep,
Yeah.
the Conejo Rec and Park rep to the MRCA and the Conservancy Advisory Committee. So he obviously can carry our water, so to speak, but I haven't been asked by them to write a letter. I don't, so you're saying a member of the advisory committee said, hey, could you write a letter as an agency?
Right. So I believe it was the at-large representative for the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy expressed interest, as well as something that was just brought to my attention by Director Brian Dennert, who does serve on, I believe, the MRCA.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, generally I'm staff to staff, so I often am speaking with directly with Joe Edmonston or Rory or Melissa, who's 50% MRCA and works for us. But if CRPD as a separate independent entity could write a letter and that's something other agencies are doing, that's fine. I actually saw the email traffic on that, so I'm aware that there's been a lot of effort to try to make sure that Malibu doesn't foreclose access through Caltrans by working through Caltrans to keep us off beaches. So or from parking anywhere near a beach. So kind of aware of the effort and
Okay.
there's nothing,
All right.
Looking for kind of just assent from the board, but we want to make sure, most of Malibu doesn't turn into red curbs so that, people can still park near beaches. That's kind of the
Yeah.
effort. That's
Yeah.
the very gross summary of it, but yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, and I know we typically get appeals when appeals are requested, but you do get some requests for letters, but certainly we can ping them and see if there's something we need to be proactive about.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Anything else? Yes, Director Huffer?
Like the agenda, and perhaps Jim, you've already done this with Ashley, but just maybe briefly explain to her what the board buddies in our extra packet is about.
Yeah, and Aline probably gave me a copy. I don't have it to show and tell, but you all should have a board buddy folder. Yeah, so there you go. And if you see there's an attachment to it, so we tried to keep track of who your board buddies were in the past so that we try to keep you guys meeting with the new, city and new school district rep. So Aline went ahead and did the alchemy to figure out who's the right match this year. And then there you go. So if you guys want to move people around, that's totally fine and on you. But this is our request that each one of you individually go meet with an individual city council person and an individual school board member, go out to have coffee and just talk, become friendly, just so that when the need to do something together arises, at least there's a personal connection. So I'm not saying take on some specific agenda item and try to champion that. That's not the point. It's literally get coffee and get to know them and who their kids are and why they are on the planet and what they're up to and that kind of thing. Just be another human and friendly with them. That's it.
Very
That's the
good.
point of board buddies,
Yes,
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
thank you. Anything else on that item? Okay, with that, we'll go to items for the public. Do we have anybody wishing to speak to the board? Okay, thank you. And with that, Mr. Feely, want to introduce our closed session?
Yes, I do. So we have two closed sessions. The first pursuant to Government Code Section 54.956.9 D2, conference with legal counsel regarding significant exposure to litigation. District Counsel Carl Berger Esquire, who is in the room, and I'll get to introduce to you a bit later or in moments. And the other is counsel with real property negotiators pursuant to California Government Code Section 54.956.8, the eastern portion of 1550 East Avenida de los Arboles, i.e. the Caltrans owned parcel Fiore Fields, in the city of Thousand Oaks, agency negotiators, Friedel, Mooney, negotiating parties, Caltrans, and the purpose is to discuss price and terms. No announcements are expected.
Okay, and with that announcement of no announcements expected, I will be adjourning this meeting. And our next meeting is January, see, today is it 23rd? Is that right? 23rd? January 23rd. All right. Have a good evening. Good night.